Hey, this is Eran with another BCC tutorial. In this episode, I'll show you a few of my favorite new effects from the new BCC 9 collection. We are going to explore the new fast film process effect, the grunge effect, and the damage dissolve transition, among other effects which are not new to version 9 but still very useful. Now I'm working inside Premiere Pro CC, but those effects can also work inside After Effects, Avid Media Composer, Final Cut Pro 10, Sony Vegas, and new to version 9, there's also support for Nuke and DaVinci. Okay, so here I have a short movie, few cuts, and a soundtrack, ready to start our journey up and down along this cliffhanger funicular. I hope that I said it right. For what it's worth, those shots were taken by my friend Tzachi Asher using the Panasonic GH2, and I've already placed an audio clip which should set the dark mood that I want to convey to this opener. The audio clip is courtesy of premiumbit.com. So first, let's see the initial state of this timeline and then decide how to improve and stylize it. For that, let's just begin by placing the cursor above the program monitor, and I'm also going to press on the tilde key in order to get to the full frame interface. Now let's press spacebar. Okay, the music is very good hint in order to what I'm actually trying to achieve here, but the initial state here is not ready yet. I just want to take a closer look. First, I'm going to mute the clip on audio 1, just so I can freely scrub the timeline. We can see that we have a couple of shots, one on top of the other, and on top of this shot, because it doesn't really have the same amount of cloud, I've added this clip from Video Copilot Action Essentials 2. And just so you'll see, I'm going to turn on the eye for video number 2. I've set it up to the lighten blending mode and also added a BCC color correction just in order to punch the clip a little bit more in terms of the output black or output white. So we get a better mix between those two. So this is the before and this is after, just a little bit extra smoke on the left hand side. I also added 2 3D titles. Once again, this is not something new to BCC 9, but I just want you to be aware that you can very easily create those very nice titles using the built-in BCC extruded text, which will actually create 3D titles inside Premiere Pro with a handful of features. And in this case, I just want to share with you that the reason that we see the text is rippling is actually thanks to the use ripple option that I've set over here. And I basically just turned it on and use the default animation. So this is the reason why we see it over here. I'm just going to press play and preview it to you so we can get a sense of what we are actually looking at. And then on top of this, I also have another black video which is waiting for us on video number 6. This will be the closure for the whole thing. But for now, let's just start to dress it up. First, I want to draw your attention to this marker that we have over here. And this marker is actually on top of the cue of the sound. Let's just zoom in, unmute the audio 1 and take a listen to what we have over here. So you probably noticed that we need to cut between the first shot to the second one, but in fact, I don't have enough material. So instead, what I'm going to do is add an edit by pressing Command K or Control K, and this will split this clip. And then I'm going to use one of the oldest tricks in the book. I'm going to zoom into this shot. Now, since I know that I want to zoom beyond 100%, I'm actually going to use the UpRez effect. This is not a new effect. However, it is very helpful and the quality is very good. So let's just apply it to this footage. Under the source, make sure that it is set to square pixels, and then go under the transform. And you can either choose one of the presets over here or just enter a custom scale. So I'm just going to scale it to 200%. And then I just want to maybe place it over here and just make sure that it is closer to us. And you know what? I think this is not enough. I'm going to go with 250 just to prove my point. And this is a very large scale. Now, in the quality over here, you can actually set it from the draft setup until the magic sharp, which will try to enhance the shot, and you can also add additional sharpness values. But I found out that actually the smooth version is going to work here much better than the basic scaling inside the Premiere Pro software. So just so you see what I've did, this is the before and this is after. We are scaling the heck of this clip, but still I managed to preserve most of the quality thanks to the UpRez effect. Okay, let's move onward. The next thing that I just want to quickly create is some kind of a dark look, something which will go along with the music that we've created. For that, I'm going to create a new adjustment layer. And I'm just going to drop it above everything. So from the beginning until the end. Now let's go back to the effects panel, and I'm going to type the word film. And this will isolate one of the two new film effects. And I'm going to use the fast film process in this case. So let's just drag it on top of the adjustment layer. And the best practice, I mean, in the first instance that you're putting some effect, is always take a look at the presets. And in this case, I'm just pressing on this arrow in order to toggle between the different presets. So if I find something that looks good, I can start to use it. I can also scrub. Let's just mute the audio. I can also scrub the whole thing and just to, get a quick sense of what this will give me. So the presets are always a best way to start. Let's actually start with this one, the Cool Highlight Bloom. Now I'm going to maybe open up the pre-process over here and maybe change the gamma compensation to a higher value, say around 1.8, maybe 1.7. I think this looks much better. And of course, you can also tweak the other settings as you like. So you can add lens misting, which is very nice. Let's add some kind of a shadow spread. And of course, you can also add a film tint. So if you like to maybe exaggerate the overall tint like this, or maybe even choose a different color. Actually, I like the colors that were included with this preset, but I just wanted you to see that after you apply a preset, you have a lot of options over here in order to add or reduce brightness, saturation, and all sorts of post effects. So maybe in this case, we are going to add additional contrast. And this looks much more scary to me. You know what? I'm going to just reduce it a touch to 10. So once again, this is the before and this is after. This is a huge improvement in terms of the overall color correction. And now I want to create something extra. So in this case, I'm going to actually drag another adjustment layer on top of this one. And by the way, of course, you can rename them so you get a sense of what each one of them is actually doing. So in this case, let's right click on the first adjustment layer. And from the options over here, we're going to select rename. And let's call this one film process. So we know what this does. And this will actually be, if we're going to rename this one, this will be the new grunge effect. So I've already named this one. And now let's type down grunge and apply the new BCC9 grunge on top of this one. As you may or may not tell, the grunge effect is very complicated. So it has a lot of things, a lot of options. This is what I mean by saying complicated. In order to make it a little bit more simple to understand, we can actually use the new FX browser to our help. So I'm just going to press on it, and this will show us the presets that this effect comes with. So I can actually take a look at those, and those are basically stationary presets, meaning that they don't have any animation, but you can still get a sense of what will work for you. And by the way, if they did have an animation going on, you will be able to press on display. And this one basically have once something that moves. So you can see that it's actually playing in this window. So if you find something that you like, you can actually apply it directly from this new FX browser. However, I'm just going to go manual on this one. So I canceled out and I'm going to untick the texture in order to actually activate the thing that I like to work with. And you do have a lot of things that you can work with, from displacement map to erosion to shake, which adds a very nice camera shake, as well as flickering and scratching and a lot of other interesting stuff. In this case, let's enable the orbs and the dust. I'm going to start with the orbs, which is almost like a phenomenon on the lens. Let's go down and reduce the count to something more manageable, like maybe 10. And then, of course, you can raise and, change the animation by setting up different values in the scaling, or maybe some different values for the depth blur, and so on and so forth. So this is very nice effect, which I highly recommend. I mean, the orbs inside this effect. But what I really like is actually under the dust over here. It has an animated dust, which looks very, very nice. I just want to show you how this looks by turning off the film process layer and try to maybe play a couple of seconds over here. So you get a sense of this very wonderful dust that we are seeing. So this also already add a lot of atmosphere to this shot. Now you can decide later on if you want to keep the orbs on top or not. I'm just going to maybe turn them off for now and enlarge the count of the dust from, 400 to 600. I just want more dust over here. And I also going to go to the opacity of the layer and change it to multiply. So we'll have a better mix with everything that we are seeing underneath. And then I'm just going to turn on the layer for the film process. And now that I see it over here, I might want to take down the opacity just a touch, maybe to 70%, and also remove this annoying keyframe. So back to the grunge effect. This has a lot of options. We just barely scratched the surface. You can also add spotlight, vignette, noise, chromatic aberration, and lots of other interesting stuff such as grain and blur. There are a lot of options over here, and I highly recommend for you to check it out. Now, I'm quite happy from what I've achieved using the grunge effect, and I think that we are ready to put a couple of other spices, especially at the end of this show. So we have those two black video layers. Remember, those have the titles using the BCC extruded text. I want to actually transition to those titles in something which will work with the other effect that we've created. But let's just start with the first over here, the first option. And for that, I'm going to actually delete my search term and just show you that under the video transitions, we have a new category over here for BCC9 transitions. This means that you can now take your favorite transitions and just drag them between cuts or at the beginning or end of your video clips. I'm going to demonstrate using the BCC Damaged TV Dissolve by dragging it to the beginning of this shot and also drag another copy to the beginning of the shot above. And by scrubbing it here in the timeline, you can get a sense of what this will look like. So we'll have this nice transition to the title and then another transition. Now you can select this, you can double click on it if you want to set another duration, say exactly 1 second to this one, maybe also to the one before it. And then of course, once you select it, you will get under the effect controls, additional options plus presets. And you can also just make sure that you are above the effect. You can also select it and you will get this nice heads up display, which you can turn on and off using this button. And this will help you to even finesse with it more and define things like the dissolve duration from here or the easy ease from this handle. So you can actually create different variation if you like the effect to transition different from the default state. And those are all based around those graphs, so no keyframes are needed for this to happen. Now I'm just going to drop another copy above this clip, and just also zoom in and just make sure that it is shorter. And this is just a black clip, so by dropping this on top of a black clip, we are changing it back to black. This will be a very nice closure. And I've already set up a couple of effects here in the timeline. So if I'm just going to show you what we have, we can see that in channel 2, we have a couple of sound effects which should work or we should correspond to the effect. So I just want to make sure that I'm dragging the duration of the effect just so it will be above the sound effect. I'm also going to turn off the mute so we will be able to hear it. Let's go to the beginning and also drop one on top of the first video over here. And just so you see where I'm going with this one, I'm going to park my cursor over here, press O in order to set an out point, and just quickly render the first transition in order to render just a couple of frames from the beginning of the timeline. This will show you the effect, the Damaged TV Dissolve, and in the same time also render the UpRez effect that we applied to the second clip. Once again. Okay, this looks very promising. Now we can zoom out and basically render the whole timeline, including the two last effects that we've created. So I'm just going to create this render and then show you the final piece. I hope this was helpful for you, and until next time we'll meet on another tutorial. This is Eran Stern from sternfx.com for Boris Effects. Thank you for your time.